For this video, I'm going to be showing you how to mix brown by using the primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. As you can see, you do not need equal amounts of each color. You need a lot more yellow than you do red or blue. So I'm going to start by taking my yellow and mix my red into my yellow to create orange. As you can see, that yellow changes very quickly, so I only add tiny bits of red into there at a time. I'm also going to continue to mix this around until I see one solid color instead of it being kind of stripy. Next, I'm going to take a tiny bit of blue and mix it into my orange mixture. It changes that orange very quick, so that's why I only use a tiny bit of blue at a time. I also will start kind of rolling my paintbrush around to get all of the extra paint out of it, but staying within that kind of tiny circle instead of taking over the entire palette. As you're creating your colors, you may not get brown right away. You need to figure out what color does it look like, and to create the brown, you simply add in its complementary color. So mine was looking kind of green. I think I'd added a little bit too much blue and it made it look more of a greenish tone. So I just added red to neutralize that green. Red is the complementary color of green, so that's why I added that in. Now it's starting to look a little bit too orange, so I add a tiny bit more blue into there. And I just keep going back and forth, adding the complementary color of whatever color it's looking like until I like the brown that I get. As I'm mixing my color, sometimes I like to take a practice sheet and paint on it to see what is that color actually looking like, because sometimes it looks a little bit different when there's a bunch of it all in one big pile. Next, I'm going to show you creating brown using black instead of the blue. So as you can see, I am taking some of the paint from my yellow pile and I'm adding a tiny bit of red in to create that orange. Again, that red will take over the yellow very quickly and make it that orange or red orange. After you get the orange that you like, instead of adding blue, you'll add a tiny bit of black into there. You'll need to be careful when adding your black because it will take over very, very quickly. So I always encourage students to just do a tiny dot of black at a time. Making brown can be a challenge, but all you need to remember is to continue adding the complementary color into your pile of paint until you reach the brown that you like. So there it was looking a little bit too green for my eyes, so I added its complementary color, red. You just go back and forth adding the color's complement until you reach the brown that you like. Just like with the first pile of brown, I'm going to have a test area where I'm going to see what it looks like when it's spread out versus in a pile. Sometimes it does look differently once you spread it out. Now I'm going to show you to make it lighter. So I just took a little bit of my brown and I'm adding white into it. You could add your brown into the white because that white is going to change very, very quickly. Next, I'm going to be making a dark brown by adding black into my brown. That black takes over really fast, so you need to be careful with the amount of black that you add. You can always add more black, so I would always go slowly. Next is a bonus tip with me making green. I started out with my yellow and then I slowly added just a dot of blue to it. And you can see how quickly that blue takes over. Whereas if I do it the opposite way, I take blue and try to add yellow into it, it takes a lot of yellow to lighten up that blue. So you always want to take your darker color into your lighter color. If you do it the opposite, you're trying to add all this yellow into the blue, it just takes a lot of paint to lighten that up. Next, I'm going to show you the same concept but with gray. So I started out with white and I added just a tiny, tiny bit of black into there. You can always add more black, so you just want to do a tiny bit at a time. Whereas if you take black and try to put white into there to lighten it up, it takes a lot of white to lighten that black up. So you always want to go with your darker color into your lighter color. Read the color wheel that's on the handout at your table if you get stuck. Make sure to ask questions and try not to get too frustrated. Have fun.